To millions, Ben Shephard is the smiling face of Good Morning Britain, the quick wit of Tipping Point, and the charming, dependable host who could brighten even the dullest of mornings. But behind that smile is a man of quiet discipline, long hours, and unshakable commitment. What many don't realize is that for years, Ben has lived with the weight of trying to be everything to everyone: the professional, the friend, the husband, the father. That pressure, it builds slowly, like water dripping onto stone. Friends have often described Ben as tireless. He would finish an early morning show, rush across London for filming, and still somehow make it home in time for family dinners. But exhaustion is a cruel thief. It sneaks in quietly until one day your body, and your heart, can no longer carry the load. It wasn't just work. In private, Ben had been facing health scares in the family, the creeping fears of age, and the emotional toll of being constantly on. Annie, his wife of over 2 decades, saw the cracks forming before anyone else. But even she could not have predicted what would happen next. Because one evening, without warning, the man who had carried so much for so long collapsed. It happened suddenly. Reports suggest Ben was at home when his body gave way. He slumped, exhausted, his mind overwhelmed. Annie was there, the one person who knew his quiet struggles, the one person who had seen his eyes dim just a little more each day. In that moment, the glamorous world of television didn't matter. What mattered was life itself, fragile, fleeting. Annie rushed to his side, holding him, whispering words only she could say, words that pulled him back from the edge. For fans who heard the news, it was shocking. How could Ben Shephard, always strong, always steady, break so suddenly? But what they didn't know was that this collapse was not the end of his story. It was the beginning of something even more powerful. Annie Shephard has always been known as the quiet pillar behind her husband's success. Rarely in the spotlight, but always present. And on that fateful evening, her role became more than supportive. It became life-saving. She didn't panic. She didn't fall apart. Instead, she held her husband's hand and became the anchor he so desperately needed. Her calmness in crisis was the very thing that pulled Ben through his darkest hour. It's often said that behind every great man is a greater woman. In this case, Annie wasn't behind Ben. She was beside him. Every step, every breath, every fragile heartbeat. But what came after the collapse would test them both in ways they had never imagined. After his collapse, Ben was forced to face what he had long ignored, his limits. Doctors urged him to rest, to step back, to finally listen to his body. And for the first time in his career, Ben admitted he couldn't do it all. This wasn't just about health. It was about identity. Who was Ben Shephard if he wasn't the smiling face on TV every morning? Could he still be the man fans loved if he showed them his fragility? It was Annie who reminded him, "You are not defined by the work you do, but by the love you give, the life you live, and the people you hold close." When news of Ben's collapse reached the public, the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Thousands of fans flooded social media with messages of love and support. Letters arrived at ITV. Cards, prayers, even handmade gifts from viewers who felt as though a member of their own family had fallen. It proved something remarkable, that fame doesn't shield us from pain, and that vulnerability can actually bring us closer together. But even with this wave of love, Ben still had a choice to make. Would he return to the screen as though nothing had happened? Or would he finally open his heart and show fans the truth behind his collapse? Ben did something few in his position would dare. Instead of hiding, he spoke openly about his struggles. He admitted the exhaustion, the pressure, the overwhelming weight of trying to please everyone. For the first time, fans saw not just a presenter, but a man. This vulnerability became his greatest strength. People connected to him in a way they never had before, because suddenly Ben Shephard wasn't just a television host. He was a husband, a father, a human being who had fallen and risen again. Throughout it all, Annie never left his side. In interviews, Ben often credits her as the reason he is still standing today. Their love, built over decades, had faced trials before, but this was their greatest test.